Do you want to learn effective ways to build relationships, generate sales, and grow your business from successful entrepreneurs, startups, and CEOs without listening to a long interview? If so, you've come to the right place. Gresham Harkless values your time and is ready to share with you precisely the information you're in search of. This is the IAM618 podcast.
Hello. This is Gresh from the IAM618 podcast, and I have a very special guest on the show today. I have Jared Ballman of 201 Creative Media. Jared, it's awesome having you on the show.
Thanks so much for having me. Good to be here, Gresh.
Yeah, super excited to have you on. And what I want to do is just read a little bit more about Jared so you can hear about all the awesome things that he's doing. And Jared is a co-founder of 201 Creative Media, a digital marketing agency that specializes in SEO, social media, and marketing for small and medium-sized businesses. Prior to 201 Creative, he was a co-founder and president of Shoot.Edit, the premium post-processing company for professional wedding photographers worldwide. Jared has 20 years of experience of history of leading new, innovative, and marketing efforts, both as a consultant and also as a business owner. And as a nationally known public speaker, Jared has spoken in front of tens of thousands in public and online educational events, along with releasing a book titled Simple Steps to Master Public Speaking, which reached #1 on Amazon in public speaking during its very first week. Jared, are you ready to speak to the IAM618 community?
Yes, let's do it.
Let's do it. So to kick everything off, I wanted to, start kind of at the beginning and hear a little bit more about your story, your CEO story. We'll let you get started with your business.
Yeah, I've been running my own company since I was 19. This is 201 Creative is my third company. My first company was actually a wedding photography studio here in the greater San Diego, California area. But, it's funny because I actually had somebody ask me just last night about it. And I remember this being a podcast about being a CEO, being an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. I remember that moment when I decided to start my first company. I was working for the federal government in a really boring desk job. And it was something that I was supposed to follow along in my career path. I was 19. I was interning and transitioning into a job. And there's so many good things ahead of me in this career path. But I remember sitting and looking at my window, and it was 2:00 in the afternoon. I just couldn't wait to leave for the day. And it's funny because I thought to myself, and I'm sure a lot of different people at different walks of life who've thought about being an entrepreneur have thought this, what would it look like if I did try to go start my own business, which had always been a goal of mine. And I realized that I could probably come back a year later if I failed. Actually, what I was thinking is when I failed, I could come back a year later and probably come right back to this exact same seat in this exact same building and keep doing what I did. But at least then I would know that I wasn't supposed to be an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. And there was something in that 19-year-old me that drove me to really want to go out and fail just so I could not have to look out that window and wonder anymore for the rest of my life. And then it turns out actually it was something that I was able to push through and to be successful at. So, but so that was the start of the journey. And then here we are now.
I appreciate that. And as someone who has also been sitting in front of maybe not the same exact computer window, but sitting in that window in the seat wondering like what I can do, what I could not do. It's so funny that you said that goes in your head, because I often will say the same thing where a lot of times we have these, I don't know if I want to call them stable, but things that are maybe more institutions that are always going to be around. And sometimes we have the opportunity to kind of go for it, to try and see what we can do, see how much we can fly. And we can always, if need be, go back to those institutions because they'll kind of always be there.
We forget that, it's not like a parachute, but we forget that, failing or not succeeding, or it just maybe not being something you enjoy, like that's not the end all. That's not the ultimate. There's always still something that you can go back to, but you go back to it with a new set of knowledge. And sometimes I know for me, my failures are usually the biggest learning opportunities for me. So I kind of took a chance knowing that even if I failed, I would learn a lot and be able to come right back to something like that anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. And nothing's more, regretful than having that regret and not doing something, not in trying and failing. It's really in not trying at all. That really is the seed of disappointment. So I know we touched on, your business a little bit more. I wanted to, if you could, take us through exactly what you do for clients and how exactly that process works.
Yeah, so we're a marketing agency. We do marketing for mostly small and medium-sized businesses. That's our sweet spot. there's basically two types of clients we work with. It would be a local business, a business that is servicing local clients, oftentimes with a brick and mortar shop or even an online, like a delivery business or something that's serving local clients. And then there's more of the national or even international clients. We basically will handle one or two or three different components of their marketing for them. One of them being SEO, which would be search engine optimization. A second being social media, whether that's from an organic side of things. We do a lot, for example, in organic Pinterest implementation and management for clients. We also will do paid ads, like a Facebook ad campaign for clients. And then the third would be email marketing, email funneling, setting up funnels, and running different conversion landing pages through email, that sort of stuff. So those are the three areas we will basically work with clients on typically. And it's great for small and medium-sized businesses mostly because oftentimes those are companies that either as they're growing or in the current spot that they're at, they have a gap in a certain area of marketing. Certainly for small business, you can think of like sometimes smaller companies only have one person who's the jack of all trades for their marketing. Or even as they expand, they kind of say, well, we have a graphic designer now, and we have somebody who specializes in content writing, but we don't really have anybody do email marketing or social media marketing. So that's where we really slot in really nicely, is with companies where we can kind of be an expert for them in specific areas that they might have a blind spot in.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And just as you kind of said, depending on the size and stage and how many team members there are, on or within that marketing department, or if you are the marketing department, which can also be the case too, you want to be able to have, it sounds like obviously the hands, but also that expertise to be able to lean on to know how not only you can, complement what you might already be doing, but probably even integrate it and improve it as well too.
Yeah, sometimes, it's more, I've had clients who will tell us the biggest gain they've gotten is actually just learning about how to process through their marketing, and many will hire us for a short-term period to help them with, say, their SEO. But then as they dedicate a team member to working with us on that, that will slowly be something that they can begin to take on, and then they'll reposition this into other areas. And so it can also be a great way, like you said, to kind of grow, but to do it with a watchful eye or with a critical eye towards excellence and towards what's working in the industry right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I hear it a lot of times with, especially a lot of coaches. A lot of times coaches will say, if you're hiring me and you're working with me forever, then I'm doing my job wrong, because the idea is to get you to be able to be in a place where you can continue to build and grow. You can kind of expand and reach and crush those goals that you kind of spoke to.
That would be the ultimate. You kind of want to work yourself out of a job. There's always the next opportunity for a company. Typically, I say always, but there always is one. Whether they want to pursue it or not is sometimes dependent upon the company's goals and whatnot. But you really, if you're not working yourself out of that 6-month or 3-month scope, if you're not achieving that and getting to the point where it's not necessary anymore, then to some degree, like you said, you're not really necessarily achieving all that you're setting out to do.
Yeah. And definitely not reaching, the potential that you often have. So it's important that you have kind of like that. Not, obviously, I know it's a client relationship, but it definitely sounds like a partnership as well too, because you also want to see the best of that organization, that company.
Yeah, it's funny. I had a client call this morning where we were talking about the partnership and how, we can check all the tasks off and achieve the scope of the project, but it's really about becoming a partner that integrates into the broader goals of the company, right? The KPIs, the key performance indicators that they're looking to achieve as a result of the work we're doing. And at the end of the day, if we can, kind of integrate into the company rather than just achieve an outside set of tasks, then the company is going to be able to rely on us a little bit more, but also to be able to grow. An example would be, I think all of us at different points, whether it's in our job or whether it's in our own company that we're running, when you hire an outside vendor, sometimes it can be harder to just work with that vendor and almost be more work than the work that they were able to give you, right? And so you kind of start to think that's like the great outsourcing dilemma. So it's really important to us to become a partner rather than just become another outsourced vendor for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me ask you this, would you consider that to be like your secret sauce? I call it the thing that kind of sets you apart and makes you unique. And of course it could be for you personally or your organization, but do you feel like the ability to be that partner and integrate into an organization is really what sets you guys apart?
Yeah, it's funny because that was one of the things we had, talked about going into this interview is what's one thing that kind of sets you apart or makes you unique. And that's exactly what we would say is our ability to slot into a company, to not just be a vendor, to not just be an outside agency, to be an actual partner, to become almost a team member, and we have different ways we do that. But really, when we work with a company, we want to become one of theirs. That's our goal. We want to, to slot in. And we have different ways we do that. But at the end of the day, that is the most important thing for us because, and again, it comes back to, it's one thing to hit a KPI, but it's another thing to do it in synchronicity with the company. Because, in marketing, there's a lot of different metrics you could look at. But if you're not achieving not just the metrics, but the actual helping the company actually achieve the goals, then it's not moving the company forward. And we found the best way to do that is to not just be an outside vendor, but to slot in and become a partner with the company.
Awesome. So I wanted to switch gears a little bit, and I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO hack. So this could be like an app, a book, or a habit that you have, but what's something that makes you more effective and efficient?
Oh, that's a great question. I was trying to figure out if I should go book or if I should go kind of hack. I'd rather go hack because if I gave you my book, The E-Myth Revisited, it would be a book that I'm sure has been mentioned 100 times in your podcast already.
But it's always a great book.
It is. It's so process oriented. Here's a hack I've been doing for probably a decade now. And I make everybody on my team at least try to do it. I'm sure when, whether they embrace it fully is up to them or not. But it's a really good hack that I've really found gives me a lot of daily success. And that is, it's kind of this hack for how to tackle the inbox. The inbox is just constantly getting full. And it was really backing me up and kind of mentally blocking me for a long period of time. Every morning right now, I go into my inbox and I have this system that I use to tackle it and get it down to basically zero. That's the goal. And I open every single email. And if it's something that I can take care of, whether it be forwarding to a team member, whether it be just actually addressing it and being done with it, whether it be creating a task for a team member to take care of. If I can do it in less than 5 minutes, I take care of that right then and there, archive the email, and move on. If it's something that when I open it, I look at it, it requires more than 5 minutes of my work. Maybe it's something I need to look into for a client. Maybe it's a team member who's hit a stopping point. Maybe it's about preparing for a meeting. Whatever it is, it's going to take more than 5 minutes. I create myself a to-do item on my to-do list, and I archive the email and I move on. And so by the end of that, every morning I have a zero inbox, and I either have accomplished everything there, or I've moved all those items over to a to-do list where I can come back to and tackle them in a better manner, a manner that's not trying to use the inbox as a kind of half communication device, half tracking, half to-do list, half project management. And that's where I think it gets confusing. I've had a lot of success with it. It really helps me organize my day. It doesn't make me feel overwhelmed. And I don't tend to lose track of a lot of the things that end up in my inbox that are these little tasks that either stop team members from moving forward or stop clients in their tracks or scheduling gets slipped through the cracks or things like that.
I wanted to ask you now for what I call a CEO nugget. So that could be like a word of wisdom or piece of advice. It might be around digital marketing or SEO, but what's something you might tell yourself or maybe a client or your younger business self?
I think to me, one of the most important things in business in terms of being a CEO, owning a company, running a business, is that you tend to deal with mostly negative stuff during the day. And I don't mean that like your company's failing or anything. I just mean that you tend to deal with either problems or challenges or issues or potential challenges or potential issues. And so it can be really easy if you're not careful and you're not managing your emotions. It can be really easy to get down on either yourself, on your company, on certain team members, on certain projects, on certain initiatives. And it's really important to manage your emotions, I think. That would be my tip.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it makes so much sense. So I wanted to ask you now for what I call my absolute favorite question, which is the definition of what it means to be a CEO. And we're hoping to have different quote unquote CEOs on the show. So Jared, what does being a CEO mean to you?
Being a CEO at the end of the day to me means being a good and effective manager of people. At the end of the day, no matter what you do, no matter what you sell, no matter what your company is about, you're dealing with people. You're dealing with the people that work for you, and you're dealing with the people that are your clients.
Truly appreciate that. And I appreciate that definition. Obviously, appreciate your time even more. What I wanted to do is pass you the mic, so to speak, just to see if there's anything additional you want to let our readers and listeners know. And then, of course, how best they can get a hold of you and find out about all those things you guys are working on.
Yeah. Well, I would say to just keep pushing. That's something I remind myself every day. I've been doing this for 20 years now. You'd think it'd get easier, right? You'd think that it seasons it does, and it seasons it doesn't. And, no matter where we are in that entrepreneurial journey and in the journey of being a CEO, just keep pushing, keep getting better, keep pushing yourself to do better, and don't give up. If it's not time to give up, don't give up. Get a hold of me. I mean, our website is 201creative.com. That's where you can find out more about some of the details of what we do. But best places to find me are probably on LinkedIn. I can give that to you for the show notes. But I really appreciate you having me on here, and would be happy to answer any questions anybody has. I'm more than welcome to reach out.
Awesome. I truly appreciate that, Jared. And we will definitely have those links and information in the show notes so that everybody can click through and follow up with you. But thank you again for that reminder too about keeping on pushing, because I think, you only fail if you quit. And I think if you continue to understand that it's, it may not be the same challenge as yesterday, but it may be a new challenge. It's going to be a challenge, and continue to keep pushing on no matter what. You can definitely continue to find your way and hopefully find success. So appreciate that. And that reminder. Hope you have a great rest of the day.
Thank you for listening to the I Am CEO podcast powered by Blue 16 Media. Tune in next time and visit us at IAM618.co. IAM618 is not just a phrase, it's a community. Be sure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, and everywhere you listen to podcasts. Subscribe and leave us a 5-star rating. Grab CEO gear at www.ceogear.co. This has been the I Am CEO podcast with Gresham Harkless. Thank you for listening.